Hey guys, welcome to the homework number 3 back video. I'll just jump right in. We have evaluate each function for the given input values. This is the topic that we call function evaluation. And this is only tricky because of the notation. So I have this f of x. It gives me an equation and it says find f of x when x equals 1. So when it says when x equals 1, that means that anytime I see an x, what do I have to plug in? A 1. So it's really asking me what is f of 1. So I see an x here, so I know I'm looking for f of 1. And I also see an x here. I'm going to plug it in there. So I'm going to say f of 1 equals -2. I always like to leave a blank using my parentheses because I know I'm going to have to use my parentheses. So that's important to know. So I'm trying to fix, I guess this is what we're going to do. So -2, I'm going to leave a set of parentheses, and what do I plug in them? A 1. So now I just need to figure out what -2 times 1 plus 1 is. So if I had my calculator, I would go over to the calculate part. I would say -2. Inside the parentheses, I'd put a 1 plus 1, hit enter. It gives me a -1. If you don't have a calculator, you have two options. Well, actually, you do have two options, but number one, we have to use PEMDAS when we're doing this. So if I'm looking here, I see there's parentheses. I also know that multiplication comes before addition. So I would say -2 times 1. I could put that in my phone calculator. Say -2 times 1 is -2 plus 1 is just -1. Or you can do it in your head. So break it down step by step. You can do this without an Inspire. So next one, it says for f of x equals 2x minus 5, find f of x when x equals 0. So now my x value, wherever I see it, is going to be a 0. So f of 0, reminder, whenever there's a number inside those parentheses, I know that's an x, equals 2 times 0 minus 5. 2 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 5 gives me a -5. And we're going to do it in the calculator. Remember, I always use those parentheses. I'm going to say 2 times 0 minus 5. Hit enter. That gives me a -5. Okay, the next one, it says for g of x equals x squared plus 3x minus 1, find g of x when x equals -2. So wherever I see that x, I'm going to plug in a -2. And the important part here is for the first time, where I have two x's on that right side. So I'm going to have g of -2 equals, I'm going to leave my parentheses because that's going to help me out, just so I don't forget I have to fill in two different x's. I know I'm plugging in -2 for x. This is where these parentheses are really, really important, and it's because of the squared, because if I leave this negative outside the parentheses, I am not going to get the right answer. I need to take -2 squared. So I'll do it in my calculator first, then I'll show you how to do it in the phone calculator. So I'm going to do parentheses, -2. Outside, there's a little squared button right here. The little squared button, I'm going to hit that so I don't get confused. Plus 3 times -2, and then minus 1. That gives me a -3. If I did not have that calculator and I wanted to use my phone calculator, I have my phone on screen lock. Give me a sec. So I would just take it one step at a time. So I would say I'd start with my 2. I'd make it a negative. I would say squared. That gives me 4. So I would write that right underneath. So I have 4. Then I have 3 times a -2. That gives me a -6. And then at the end, I have that -1. So on my calculator, I can go 4 minus 6 minus 1. That would also give me a -3. So even if you don't have your Inspire, you can still make it work. For this last one, I'm plugging in a -3. So I have h of -3 equals -2 times -3 squared minus 3 times -3. I'm going to let you guys simplify that on your own. Okay, let's try number 2. So it says the function h of t equals 4 plus 8t gives the height of a balloon off the ground in feet t seconds after it is released. So use this function to answer the questions below. So it says A, find h of 3. What is the real life meaning of this? So first of all, I have to figure out if my 3 is in my parentheses. I know I normally start with h of t. My t became a what? A 3. So I know this is asking me to find the height, which is my h of t, where t equals 3. So that means I have to find h of 3. So anytime I see a t, I'm going to plug in a 3. So I know that 8 times 3 is 24. 4 plus 24 gives me 28. What is the real life meaning? It tells me right here what t means. So t means seconds. So how many seconds do I have? I'm working with 3 seconds. So after 3 seconds, how tall is my balloon? And the answer to that is right here. I already found it. The balloon is, I spelled balloon wrong, balloon is 28 feet off the ground. So the key to the real life meaning is figuring out what your t is, what your h of t is, and then making sure your units are correct. So the next one, it says find h of 10. So again, I normally know it's h of t. My t became a 10. So I'm looking for t equals 10, and that means 10 seconds. So when I plug it into my equation, h of 10 equals 4 plus 8 times 10, that's going to give me an 84. So my balloon is going to be 84 feet off the ground after 10 seconds. Lastly, I have one of these graphs. The first thing I need to decide, I know that this is my x-axis, and then this is my y-axis, and I know that y is the same thing as f of x. So it's asking me for f of 0, that means that my x value became a 0. So I have to look for my y value where x is 0. So I'm going to go here. F of 0 is going to be 2 because at my x value of 0, my graph crosses my axis at 2, or my y value is 2. So here it's looking for f of negative 2. So I'm going to go over to negative 2, and I'm going to look up here to make sure that it's at 1. F of negative 4. So I go over to negative 4. I go up to where I see my function graphed. I see that negative 4 is also at 1. I'm going to leave this last one for you. Just a reminder, make sure you fill in those ones that I left for you to do, so you have a chance to practice on your own. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, good job finishing your homework.